My name is Stephen Charnquist. I moved to the Heights about 2 years ago during my separation from my marriage. I would joke that I was a recovering intellectual. I spent a lot of years talking myself out of faith and spent a lot of years pursuing different things. Thought it made me smart and interesting, but didn't make me happy. Wasn't living a fulfilled life. Tomorrow's just the next day after this kind of crappy day. I get up and go to work and go home and start over, rinse and repeat. And one day, I just why not? It's been a long time since I've been in a church. And I went to a couple of other churches around town, and more the big name ones, a little more ostentation, a little bigger curb appeal, and felt like a bystander. I didn't feel part of anything. I said, you know, there's that little church in the Heights. And I just told myself, it's like, go and see. It was kind of my new mantra at the time. It's like, go and see. Just try and see, you know, take your swing. I don't recall Emily's sermon for the day, but it was pretty spot on. I regret not remembering what it was, so I started keeping a journal about my experience in the church. The website had the kind of a synopsis of each of the Sunday school classes. And so I went to room 109, and that class wasn't going on. It was just happened to be a Meet the Preacher. So Emily was sitting in with coffee and donuts. I mean, there wasn't anybody else in there. And so, again, go in and see. Got to know her, told her my story. Felt great. Felt exposed, felt raw. And I was like, okay, so maybe that's not a coincidence. I go to church expecting one thing. I go to a Sunday school class expecting one thing. In both instances, I get something different. Not what I expected, but what I needed. And so the next week, I got to the right group, and it was the men's class. Great group of guys. These are people that I like. These are people that I connect with. And it feels 100% sincere. And it was one of the days that we had communion. Looked out over the congregation and really saw them for the first time. I didn't see them as potential judges or threats. They weren't just people in the congregation. They felt as part of my church family. I have 3 kids. I have a 5-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son, and a 14-year-old son. They come with me on varying degrees of consistency. It's nice to be able to talk to them about faith and to introduce them to my church home. I came to church hoping for this miraculous blink of an eye. I get it, I'm healed, I'm fixed. And that's all I looked for, was the big moment, the big pow. But it was in the commitment of coming every week that it were 1,000 little things. And that was the mind blow for me. I was still waiting, like, when's it gonna happen, when's it gonna happen? And then I realized it had. And that wouldn't have happened without this community, this church family. I told you I'd keep a journal. In the children's story, the Velveteen Rabbit wants to become real, doesn't want to be a toy. There's an interaction that the Velveteen Rabbit has with the skin horse. And it's a horse, a stuffed animal, all his fur is rubbed off. It says, real isn't how you were made, but something that happens to you. By the time you're real, most of you has been loved off. Your eyes drop out, you can loosen your joints, but these things don't matter at all. And it ends, because once you're real, you can't be ugly. Real doesn't happen all at once. You just don't make the leap from here to there. You've got to have your fur rubbed off. You can't be perfectly furry and up on a shelf, isolated, and be real. So, show my scars, show myself to all these people here. And over time, with some pain, maybe I'll be real.